See you all. I love you, Nez Nation. Tap that thumbs up. If you haven't become a subscriber to our newsletter, it's in the pinned comment. It's very simple. It's free. It is your sure. I mean, quite honestly, guys, there's a really good chance this could be our very last broadcast because the stuff that I'm going to say today is going to cause the pot to boil over. I would not be surprised if YouTube, even Rumble, all of these platforms that I'm going live on right now, podcast, if you're listening on the podcast, I would not be surprised if they delete me after this. This could be our very last show. I am livid. I'm beside myself. So please make sure in the pinned comment, you just click the link, click on newsletter, free newsletter, give us your best email, and you're in. You're a part of the Nez Nation club, the tribe, the community that is after objectivity and truth. So make sure you do that right now. Okay. So we're going to get into this right now. Let's do this. We're going to go through this entire ruling right now that Judge McAfee. I really actually thought he was going to, maybe they were going to have them in court and there was going to be live. I was really hoping to do that. My wife actually woke me up at 5 a.m. and said they already decided. I was just like getting out of sleep. I couldn't believe it. I just got back from giving my daughter a ride to school. So yeah, there's a lot to cover. So stick around and don't forget, I'm going to share with you Steve Sadow, the pit bull. I'm going to share with you his response at the end of this video. So stick around. So there's a lot of kind of legalese that I'll just kind of go over and I'll mull over here. January 8th, 2024, defendant filed a motion to dismiss. That was the very first dismissal. Ashley Merchant and John Merchant's client. There's about 18 defendants. I know most of you guys know that. And Trump is one of them, obviously. More specifically, defendant Roman alleges that district attorney and special prosecutor Wade traveled together on multiple vacations with Wade covering many of the associated expenses, which is a fact, which the defense proved. Defendant Roman later supplemented his motion with receipts from these travels. The state responded with an affidavit arguing that the district attorney had not received.
I'm going to pause that right here. So I want y'all to know this guy is a MAGA nut for nothing better to say. He's been dominating. He's been this channel. He calls himself a professor, but to me, I don't think he's nothing more than just a fanatic who wanted funny. Well, he's a Trump guy, so that tells you a lot about him. But anyway, I decided to start with him because I want you to see what they doing and how they doing it. And they mad with the now they mad with the judge, and I believe, and I'm gonna bring in the judge's opinion after you. I'm gonna show you a few people, and it ain't just white folks. It's not just white folks. It's black folks too. Everybody seems to overlook all the nonsense that Donald Trump has done. But anyway, I'm going to let y'all continue to listen. Okay, y'all can continue to listen to this garbage.
Received any financial benefit, which is a lie, and that their personal travel expenses were roughly divided equally. Doesn't matter. That's a conflict. Doesn't matter. You still made an egregious decision. Look, I'm not even biased here. It's just an awful decision. It's an absolutely awful decision. I'm going to let you know the defense's response. Hang around. As alleged, the claims presented a possible financial conflict of interest for the district attorney. More importantly, the defense motions and the state's response created a conflict in the evidence that could only be resolved through an evidentiary hearing. Okay, so yada, yada, yada. He's going through all this after receiving. I might fast forward through a lot of this because it's a 23-page ruling, okay? I'll actually leave a link to the entire ruling. I mean, you could just Google it. It's the order to motion to disqualify. It's very easy. Just Google it if you don't see the link. It's public for everybody. It's a public record. After receiving 2.5 days of testimony during which the defendants were provided an opportunity to subpoena and introduce whatever relevant and material evidence they could muster, the court finds that the defendants failed to meet their burden of proving that the district attorney acquired an actual conflict of interest. There it is right there. If you're as mad as me, say me right now in the chat. If you're as angry as I am right now, give me a giant capital me in the chat right now. Oh my God. The affirmative action decision. I have a poll for you right now. If Fannie Cash Money G. Willis was white, what do you think would happen to her right now? I'll tell you what I think would happen to her. She'd probably end up in handcuffs, and we'd be seeing a live broadcast of her walking into prison in handcuffs right now. That's what we'd be doing if she was white. Guaranteed. Failed to meet the burden, proving that through her personal relationship and recurring travels with her lead prosecutor. The other alleged grounds for disqualification, including forensic misconduct, are also denied. Now, remember, the forensic misconduct was the church speech, the appearance of impropriety, which prosecutors are supposed to be held to a higher standard, right? Prosecutors are supposed to be held to a higher standard. And if they're not held to that high standard, then what the heck is going on here? Let me see if I can make this bigger. If they're not held to that higher standard, then what in the world is going on here? There is more than an appearance of impropriety here. There is more than an appearance of impropriety. However, the established record now highlights a significant appearance of impropriety that infects the current structure of the prosecution team, an appearance that must be removed through the state's selection of one of two options. So here it is. Here's this sort of like consolation prize because, you know, the judge can't totally appear like he's biased, which it's beyond me that this decision, if you think this decision is biased, in the comments right now, I want you to say biased, put biased in the comments. Actually do this even easier. Type a capital B right now in the comments if you think this decision was biased, or a capital U if you think this was unbiased. Give me a capital B for biased, capital U for unbiased in the comments right now. The defendant's motions are therefore granted in part. So here's what I'm going to look at that. I see a ton of B's. I see a ton of B's. The defendant's motions are therefore granted in part. So what does that mean? Actual conflict of interest. Our highest courts consistently remind us. Look at that. All B's. I see nothing but capital B's. I love you, Nez Nation. Smartest audience in the entire online ecosystem. You guys rock. I love you guys. I love having such a smart, noble, ethical audience. Our highest courts consistently remind us that prosecutors are held to a unique and exacting professional standard in light of their public responsibility and their power. Yeah. So why didn't you go all out and disbar her, Judge McAfee, if that's the case? Which she obviously impugned that. Every newly minted prosecutor should be instilled with the notion that she seeks justice over convictions and that she may strike hard blows, but never foul ones. But all Fannie Willis did was foul. She's capital foul. I mean, that's all she did. C. Berger versus United. C. Berger v. United States. Most importantly, prosecutors are expected to assume a role beyond a mere advocate for one side and must make decisions in the public's interest, which she did not do. She is so selfish and narcissistic, not their own personal or political interests. And then he cites case law. But that's exactly what she did. She made money. She capitalized on hiring an underqualified lover, Nathan Wade, and paid him an exorbitant salary, which she definitely told him, you need to take me out on vacation. You need to spend all that money on me. She benefited financially. There is a concrete, it's not just the appearance of impropriety. There is a concrete conflict of interest. Never mind the church speech. I mean, how is there going to be a fair trial in Fulton County? How's there going to be a fair trial in Georgia after all of this crap? Recognizing these are not empty slogans nor toothless admonitions without practical effect, Georgia courts have not hesitated to step in and use their inherent authority to disqualify a state prosecutor when required, especially when that
Let me just say this. That statement that he made about he didn't know why the judge didn't disbar Fonnie Willis. First of all, he's ignorant. A judge cannot disbar any attorney, be they black, white, purple, green, or yellow. The only people who can disbar lawyers are lawyers of that who are part of the bar association. So that there is wrong. I just wanted to say that outright. He's making a lot of statements. He's very racist. And I want to know, what is it that makes people think that if you're black, you have to be above board, above the standards? No, if she was white, this never would have went this far. It would have went a certain way. Donald Trump used Michael Roman, who is a known, who does smear campaigns. He did it. He's known for doing it. I'm looking for a video now while you guys listen, which will, someone who knows him, who knows his work. He's an attorney. He works with the Midas Touch Network, and he knows his attorney. When he heard the first filing, when it first started, he knew it was Michael Roman. The first filing was put together terribly. But while you listen, I'm going to find that, to find it and let him explain to you what's going on here.
prosecutor labors under an actual conflict of interest. And then he cites some case laws. Disqualification of a prosecutor due to a conflict of interest is thus not a creature of statute, so much as it is a judicial remedy recognized by our appellate courts since their formation generally on grounds of public policy, as he cites a bunch of examples here. The Georgia Supreme Court has most recently denoted conflicts of interest and forensic misconduct as to the two generally recognized grounds of disqualification. A conflict of interest includes acquiring personal interest or stake in the defendant's conviction, which that was definitely there, no doubt about it. And then he cites case law. I'm going to kind of move through this quickly because it's 20 pages. This is so because the prosecutor's duty to the public creates an additional public interest that must remain unconflicted in every criminal case. A determination of whether a prosecutor is laboring under a conflict is a fact-driven one. Okay? In this case, here we go. Here's the meat and potatoes right here. In this case, special attorney, district attorney, special applied District Attorney Wade's manner of payment is not actionable on its own. Whenever a private attorney like Wade is paid by the billable hour, a motive exists to extend or prolong the assignment. This, however, is a tension that the legal profession has long accepted. It is also the type of speculative status violation that our courts have regularly denied as insufficient grounds for disqualification, absent solid proof of some other conduct. So essentially, what he's saying here in this ruling, Judge McAfee, really quickly, he's saying there's just not enough here. He's saying there's just not enough here, even though I feel that Sadal and the defense, they completely did that. Thank you, Harley Vor Mike, for the $5 super sticker. They completely stick around to the end. I'm going to give all super chats, all super stickers, massive shout outs. Stick around to the end, especially if you have a question attached to your super chat. He's basically saying there wasn't enough here. Hey guys, make sure you tap that thumbs up. Make sure you share this out. This is live breaking news. The Fannie Willis disqualification hearing has a final ruling, which I'm going over with a comb by Judge McAfee. So we continue. Thus, Wade, that's the SADA's oath of office, in combination with the supervision theoretically provided by a neutral and detached DA, should generally be sufficient to dispel the appearance of that improper incentive. Nor would a romantic relationship between prosecutors standing, this is huge right here, nor would a romantic relationship between prosecutors standing alone typically implicate disqualification, assuming neither prosecutor had the ability to pay the other as long as the relationship persisted. But in combination, as is alleged here by the defendants, a prima facie argument arises of financial enrichment and improper motivations, which inevitably and unsurprisingly invites a motion such as this. As to the financial allegations, the court makes the following factual findings. On November 2021, the district attorney hired Nathan Wade to serve as the special prosecutor and lead the investigation that produced the indictment in this case. The district attorney considered at least one other option before hiring Wade, extending an offer to former Governor Roy Barnes. Now, remember Roy Barnes. We remember him come on and talk about his meeting with Fannie Willis. It was a pretty short, sweet testimony, nothing really too infringing or impactful there. The contract allowed a $250 hourly rate, a relatively low amount by Metro Atlanta standards for an attorney with Wade's years of experience, and contained a ceiling on the maximum number of hours permitted. Under the terms of the first contract, Wade was not to perform more than 60 hours of work per month without written permission. No evidence introduced indicates that Wade received permission to exceed these monthly hourly caps. Why? Because she paid him in cash. Because, it's a black thing. That's what we do. We hold hundreds of thousands of dollars of cash under our basement like it's 1879. No, it's a bunch of BS. Only criminals, only money launderers, only drug dealers do that. She's a professional. She's supposed to be a district attorney. She's supposed to represent her constituents. You think Fannie gives a rat's ass about her constituents? Right now in the comments, let me know. Do you think she cares about the people she represents? Give me a capital no or a capital yes. You think she cares? Say yes. If you think she doesn't give a rat's ass like I do, give me a capital no right now in the comments. Between October 2022 and May 2023, the district attorney and Wade traveled together on 4 occasions that resulted in documentable expenses. The first included recuse yourself. Totaling $3,000 on the passage. In March, the two traveled to Belize. I mean, look at this nefarious bunch of hooligans. Look at this. Monaco. What's the difference? In addition to the two described taking a number of day-long road trips to Tennessee, Alabama, and South Carolina, North Carolina, other parts of Georgia, they also admitted to dining out on multiple occasions and taking turns covering the bill. With seemingly full access to Wade's primary credit card statements, the defendants did not produce evidence of any further documental expenses or gifts, nor were any revealed through the testimony. In total, defendants point to an aggregate documented benefit of at most $12,000 to $15,000 in district attorney's favor. So he's citing all of the expenditures. He's citing all of it. He's basically saying that that is not anything that he can issue a ruling on for disqualification. He's basically saying that that suffices, which we all know that's completely inaccurate.
Listen, this guy is, all these things I'm pointing out to you, this guy is obviously a liar. And he's a liar. She never said that she paid Nathan Wade's salary in cash. She said she allotted him the money that her budget allowed. He was paid for extra hours that he worked. She also said that the money they went on trips, he paid for some, she paid for some in return. They went on a trip with his mother, and his mother went. She said she did not pay for the mother. She paid her half for the trip. And who is he to say, how dare she go on trips? How dare she go to Belize? How dare she goes? This guy is a racist. And he knows he's going to be taken down, because I'm going to personally write to YouTube and ask them, why is this man allowed to be on here spreading these lies? Because he said nothing. She said nothing. If you listen to the beginning of the hearing, she never said that she paid Mr. Wade in cash. She said she keeps money in her house. Excuse me. She said she took out a loan to finance her first campaign, and the money that was left over, she kept it in her house. Now, mind you, she borrowed money. She didn't ask the constituents to pay for her. She did not ask for money, according to what she said. This is why the judge could not do that. He said, oh, it's a black thing. They keep exorbitant amounts of money in the house. You know, like black people don't have money. They can't keep money in his home. Every black family has always been told to keep a few dollars in your house in case something goes wrong. Keep a few dollars in your purse in case you have to run out of your house. Have money on hand that you can get your hands on in case of an emergency. So, you know, I'm not going to go unless you guys let me know if you want me to go further with this guy, because I'm getting really mad. If you don't, put it in the comments if you want me to continue with this, or let me go to the next thing, because this guy is obviously a racist. And if you want to, his channel is Professor Nez, N-E-Z. He's been, you know, and you see the derogatory names that he's calling her: Cash Money G, Funny Willis, Fanny. Her name is not Fanny. He is very disrespectful, very racist. He's a MAGA nut. He was so sure, oh, she's going down. She's going to be disbarred. He knows nothing. A lawyer, a judge cannot disbar a lawyer. To be disbarred, lawyers have to go before the Bar Association. Those are the only ones who can disbar an attorney. He's the only one. So where he gets his information, and he's spreading this lie. He's spreading this lie. He's spreading it, and these MAGA nuts are believing it. Judge McAfee himself, when he closed out the case after he told them they couldn't present any new evidence because they hadn't done it, he fails to realize that Fonnie Willis was in a hearing, not on a trial. The judge cannot do anything except what he did. Now, Judge McAfee did say that the issues, he told Trump's team, the issues that you raise, you can take it to another court because there are some things that you could read. You could take it before the Bar Association if you like. Said there's 3 things. They will suspend her license for 6 months to a year, or they will take her to some remedial program to get how she can prove. Yeah, So then this is what they did. This is what they're doing. So, and they will remediate or they will disbar her good. But I don't see her being disbarred. If anything, I see them maybe suspending her license, but that was a mistake. She made a poor choice. So they'll probably put her in some kind of a program, to teach her this, that, and the other. So I'm going to move on because this guy is totally getting on my nerve, but I think you got the gist of what he was doing. So anyway, I'm going to remove this guy because this guy is getting on my nerves. He truly is getting on my nerves. So let me do what I got to do. Yeah, this guy really got on my nerves. I have something else for you, too, that I'm going to do because you can see that guy was definitely racist. He definitely, he was at her throat all the time. Yeah, I'm going to get another thing for you. Something else. So I'm getting this. Yeah. I wish I knew how to add stuff on, but I don't, and I don't feel like going through nonsense right now. So here's something here. Here we do. I did it again. Excuse me, y'all.
Be the judge in Georgia has made the decision that we were waiting on, and I'm going to give you the headline. Fonnie Willis has not been disqualified from the case as long as she fires Nathan Wade as the special prosecutor along with her against Donald Trump. Let me repeat. Fonnie Willis, by order of the court, has not been disqualified for either an actual conflict, for a financial interest in the case against Donald Trump, or because of her bad judgment, let's call it for what it is, in dating somebody in her office. She's going to be able to remain in the case. That's her choice. The judge gave her a choice. She can either fire herself and the entire Fulton County attorney's office and turn the case over to the prosecution council in Georgia for reselection of a prosecutor. Let me just fast track that. She's not doing that. Or she can fire Nathan Wade as the special prosecutor and hire somebody else. That's the choice that was made. Now, that is at the end of a 20-page decision by the judge in which he went through, just as we had predicted on Legal AF, and I'd done on a hot take. He went a way that we hoped he wouldn't go, but he felt he had to, which is to say, I don't find an actual conflict of interest. I don't find an actual financial motive for Fani Willis to continue to prosecute Donald Trump. That's not why the prosecution exists. It doesn't exist to feather the nest of Fani Willis. However, I don't like the appearance of impropriety. He called it the odor of mendacity.
The odor of mendacity, yeah.
The odor of mendacity that hangs over the case. Now, I had said in an earlier hot take that, and I kind of predicting this, that this is the second time that Fani has been the subject of a motion to disqualify. And when the then Chief Judge of Fulton County, McBurney, disqualified her from going after Representative or State Senator Jones, Burt Jones, who was also part of the fake elector scheme, and turned that over to a new prosecutor because she had conducted or participated in a fundraiser for Burt Jones's opponent, he said, "What were you thinking? Appearance of impropriety. I don't like the way it looks. It doesn't need to be hanging over a prosecution." And I said, that is the way McAfee could go. And citing a long line of Georgia cases, the judge says, I don't like the way this looks with Nathan Wade still involved. Some of the facts I don't love, but the other side, the Trump side and the defense side, have not carried their burden of demonstrating either actual conflict, what they call forensic misconduct, which is not really an issue in the case. But I'm going to focus now on appearance of impropriety. And this is my Solomonic result, which is get Nathan Wade off the case, or you got to get off the case. But that's the choice you're going to have to make. And look, the defense is not going to be happy about this. He got into the love life. He got into the people that testified. He got into some bad decision-making that he believed Fani Willis committed. And he obviously has very little respect for Nathan Wade and some of the positions Nathan Wade has taken, for instance, in his divorce proceeding. But this case has saved the day for the prosecution and for Fani Willis, coming a day after the judge basically kept intact the indictment itself against Donald Trump and the others. Turning it over now to my illustrious colleague, who's going to give us that prosecutorial bent as being a former federal prosecutor about how Scott McAfee handled this case and the way, having now read his decision, the way he came out. Do you think it was fair? I want to hear from Karen Friedman.
So a couple of things, Popok. Bottom line is he dropped this early in the morning on the East Coast. So it's good to see you first thing in the morning to break this news with you. A lot of people were wondering, what was Scott McAfee doing dismissing 6 of the counts yesterday when he dismissed 6 of the counts of the indictment, saying they weren't legally sufficient. And I think it makes sense that he did that first, because I think he wanted to establish he's fair, he's impartial, because he knew when he dropped that he wasn't going to disqualify Fani Willis from this case. And so I think this was his attempt to put the defendants on their heels and say, okay, I'm going to give you something because this is what I believe the law says and what I'm required to do. And since I'm going to rule that way, I'm going to put that out first. And then I'm going to drop the news that I've also already decided, which that the defendant did not meet his burden of proof to disqualify Fani Willis from the case. So I think it was a very well-reasoned decision. He pointed out a few things that I really wanted to highlight this morning. I agree with you. The quote that everyone's going to pick up on is when he said there was the odor of mendacity hanging over this head. And I think that Judge McAfee did a really nice job, though, of going through not only the legal standard, but also the evidence of what was brought out at the hearing and what the burden that the defense did not meet. And also, interestingly, several people after the hearing, when Fani Willis literally called herself to the witness stand and testified, the judge actually credited her testimony and cited to it several times, saying that apparently he said, although unprofessional at times, he thought that she was a little emotional, perhaps. that he credited her testimony, and it was evidence that she brought out through her testimony where he found there was no actual conflict or appearance of impropriety. So, to the extent that people didn't think that that she should have testified, I think that was significant for the judge, and it was important for the judge to establish what the truth is, and what did happen and what didn't happen. He also called out that, look, there was sloppy record keeping, that she basically paid in cash, so they can't verify whether or not she paid him back or not. But he credited her testimony that she did, and said that at most there's a couple $100 here and there, that maybe was an exact half and half, and so they didn't meet their burden, or the standard. He called her out, though, for making the comments in the church. And he said, he reminded everybody that prosecutors, and it's a good reminder, people often think it's prosecution versus defense, and somehow there's an equivalency, right? There really isn't. Prosecutors have a much, much higher burden of doing the right thing, of making sure that it's not just about getting a conviction, it's about justice, fairness. And defense attorneys can be very eccentric, they can make arguments, they have to zealously advocate for their client, but prosecutors have to be above all of that. They're almost like the judge in that way, that they have to be above all reproach, actual and appearance. And that's where he said she fell short. He reminded her of this higher burden and this higher ethical standard that all prosecutors must meet, so that there's confidence in the justice system and there's confidence in any sort of conviction. And he said that's where she fell short. And the forensic misconduct that they were referring to, I was confused by that, because it's not what we would call forensic misconduct. I think they were referring to her comments at the church that were broadcast on television. And he definitely commented that that was not appropriate. She shouldn't have done it, but certainly not enough to get her off the case. So he's chalking this up to bad judgment and shouldn't have done it and do better next time. But it's definitely that's not enough to be a disqualifying conflict of interest. She will definitely take Wade off the case. And Bonnie Willis is one of Georgia's leading RICO experts. She doesn't need Nathan Wade on the case. And so this isn't going to have any impact. Oh, one other thing that I liked that he called out was he said one of the things that would be a financial conflict of interest in these hours is because he's being paid hourly, which the judge said in the Atlanta, Fulton County metro area is a low wage for a competent attorney. So he put that issue to bed. But he also said in hourly cases, it's always been, but this happens all the time, there's always this incentive to bill more hours to make more money. But courts have reconciled that and said just because that exists doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be a problem. But he said here there was absolutely no evidence that Bonnie Willis or Nathan Wade wanted this case to go on longer so that they could bill more hours and make more money. In fact, quite the contrary. Bonnie Willis has answered ready for trial and has been asking for a speedy trial date, which flies in the face of this argument that somehow there's this financial interest for him to bill more hours and make more money. So I thought it was a really well-reasoned, good, fair decision.
Without even coordinating, you and I, because we've been friends and colleagues and podcast hosts for 4 years now, we ended up wearing almost the identical outfit for those that are watching us. Let me turn to kind of amplify things, Karen, that you just said. Let me read from the actual order in some places that I think are important, including with the church comment and the church speech. When we saw that, my nose automatically sort of scrunched up like, why is she doing? I know why she's doing it. What should she be doing it, given how she was already reprimanded by Chief Judge McBurney earlier in the case? Somebody who's singed once in the fire doesn't normally put their hand back in. But, there's many things we love about Bonnie Willis, and her tenacity is one of them. For those, speaking of tenacity, let's talk about mendacity. That's not a good thing. For those that are fumbling around trying to look it up, mendacity means, when they say an odor of mendacity hangs over the case, we have a definition up there. That means an odor of lying and deceit hangs over the case. And that was the judge's sort of pithy way of summarizing what he saw as 2.5 days of testimony about trips. Now, another takeaway, he did not find that Fani Willis lied to him, committed perjury, in the words of the defense, about the timing of the relationship between her and Nathan Wade. It's not even really mentioned at all in the order. And so that's a good thing, because we were afraid that that is what the focus was on at some point.
Find your rhythm with TD Clear, a whole new take on credit with no interest.
Did you know that your temperature at night can have one of the greatest impacts on your sleep quality? If you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend.
Well, all you got it's a bunch of stuff in there, but basically you heard both sides of the story. She's gonna go on with the trial and she's gonna win. And I've heard other people say too that she will probably win re-election because Fulton County is a black county in Georgia, predominantly black. So that's what they're saying. But anyway, you got so many people. They are so against this lady and so for Donald Trump. This is what Donald Trump does. He delays. It's a win for him because he gets to delay the trial because she wants to have a trial in August. And they definitely, Donald Trump and his team definitely don't want one in August. They don't want a trial in August because that's too close to the election, which I don't think he's going to win. I really don't think he's going to win to come back in here. So it's crazy. He's not going to win. He's not going to win at all. And you might call me crazy. You might call me a lot of stuff, to be honest with you. Be honest, you may call me a lot of things, but I don't think he's going to win. I really don't think so. There's something else. Let's see. Listen to this lady here. This is just something I'm going to throw in real quick.
It happens on page 17 of Judge Scott McAfee's order, and if it's all right, I'm going to read it. And we can
this lady here
this is
very good. She's very good.
Judge McAfee writes, the
Listen
court
to her.
therefore concludes that the prosecution of this case cannot proceed until the state selects one of two options. The district attorney may choose to step aside along with the whole of her office and refer the prosecution to the prosecuting attorney's counsel for reassignment. Alternatively, this is option two, Special Assistant District Attorney Wade can withdraw, allowing the district attorney, the defendants, and the public to move forward without his presence, distracting from and potentially compromising, the judge says, the merits of this case. So the district attorney's office now has two options in front of them, and a pretty weighty choice before District Attorney Fani Willis.
Yeah, one or the other must go, but very significant that it allows the option for this case to stay in Fulton County, which is key for a lot of reasons. One, a jury pool would remain the same. Also, this is the office that has spent so long investigating this case, knows the ins and outs of it, also so well versed in racketeering cases, specifically, which not every jurisdiction is so well versed at. So that's big.
Very big. It's a particularly complex statute. Georgia's RICO statute in particular, even compared to the national statute, is exceedingly complex. This is also a case that started with 19 defendants. So the idea of this case being removed to a different district attorney's office raises a whole host of challenges, not the least of which is, imagine you're some other district attorney in DeKalb or Cobb or Gwinnett or wherever else, and you are tasked with taking on this endeavor and just getting up to speed and understanding the nuances of it would be a Herculean task. And we can't get inside the head of District Attorney Fonnie Willis, but you've got to imagine that's going to weigh on her decision-making process, because those two options, Special Assistant District Attorney, the Special Prosecutor, Nathan Wade, can withdraw from the case, and the DA Fonnie Willis, and the rest of her office, according to Judge Scott McAfee, can move forward. Or the other option is that DA Willis steps aside. When she goes, her whole office is then removed from the case. And what happens here, and we can take a minute to break down a little bit of the order's language, what would happen in that scenario is the case would be sent up to what's called the Prosecuting Attorney's Council. It's sort of an oversight and organizational body for every district attorney in the state. And then that organization would be responsible for finding a new home for this case. And it's important to underscore this point, once that happened, and it could take time to find another DA's office that is willing to take on this case and has the resources, they have total autonomy over it. So there's no guarantee in that scenario where the case goes somewhere else that the prosecution would remain intact as it at least originally began.
Yeah, let's talk.
Those are a lot of words to say, that Fonnie Willis gets to stay on the case, but Nathan Wade has got to go. It's her decision to make. If she doesn't want to get rid of Nathan Wade, then her and her entire team will go, and somebody else will have to pick up the case. And that could take time for another team to get up to speed to properly prosecute this case. What y'all think Fanny gonna do? Yeah. She gonna tell Nathan Wade, hit the road, Jack. I'm shocked. I'm shocked at the decision. I would have bet that he was going to remove Fonnie Willis from the case entirely. When he came out and took away 3 of those charges, I said, oh yeah, he's going to boot her and her office from the case in its entirety and assign it to another prosecuting team. But yeah, she gets to stay. And I'm over there on Twitter scrolling through her hashtag and watching all of the MAGA nuts screaming, pissed off, upset, basically losing their shit. It's quite entertaining.
There you go. That's it. That's what it was. But yeah, well, that's, it's some more. I'll come back with some more, but I'm waiting to see what she's gonna do. So it's kind of new. I'm up, I got up kind of early this morning. I wasn't expecting nothing to there, but yeah, these MAGA people are out. That first one I showed you, that man was definitely hurt because he knew she was going to get barred. But what people failed to realize, it was never a trial. It was a hearing. He cannot disbar, even if he wanted to disbar Fonnie Willis and Nathan Wade, he couldn't, because only members of the Bar Association can disbar you and take your license away from you. So these people think they know everything, and he's dead serious. So she did it, she paid. She never said she paid for him in cash. And and if they wanted to know where she got her money from, they asked her how she got paid. She said she gets her money deposited, direct deposited to the bank account. That's into her bank account. That's what we all do. And she goes in there and takes it out. She probably take out what she wanted, leave some in the bank, and take some and put it in the house. So it is what it is. But anyway, anybody want to come up and say anything, it's all right with me. If not, I'm gonna go on. I'm going to end this. They don't give about using. All they want is her off the case. That's true, Andrea. You're so right about that. But what about Funny, Fanny, Cash Money, G? Those are all racist, derogatory terminology. You know that. Why would they call that woman all them names like that? That's gangster shit. Excuse my expression, but that's gangster mess. You know that. Because we don't talk like that. They wouldn't call they wouldn't talk about a white girl and say that a white girl was trailer park trash. You know that. They wouldn't. They just wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. I mean, man, and the black folks, and some black folks ain't no better than the white ones, because they just come they just come at everybody doing crazy stuff in there. These church people is worse than the regular people. I'm gonna let you see this and then I'm gonna go. Let's see. I'm gonna see if I see this one. Let's see. She ain't put nothing up there yet. But this one right here, this is the biggest black hypocrite. Here she goes popping her lips.
Like that. Let me turn my notifications off because this is annoying. All right, let's do this. Hey everybody, how you doing? If you can see me and hear me okay, I am on my phone. YouTube just recently rolled out this new feature where you can go live vertically on a mobile device. So I thought that was pretty cool. And so I'm trying it out. I'm not going to be on here very, very long. I just wanted to say a few words regarding this Fonnie Willis situation and give some words of exhortation and encouragement, and then go about my merry way. Hey, Brother Robert. Hey, Alberta. Good to see you. So glad you could join me. Hey, Amazing Grace. Happy, what's today? Today is Thursday. Okay, so good. We got about 45 people. That's good enough. So, hey, you guys, grace and peace. It is April Chapman here with the Stand of the Truth podcast. And it is Thursday, March the 14th. And as I scroll through my YouTube timeline, I can see that people are indeed anxious and they are waiting to see what Judge McAfee, is going to decide as it relates to this Fonnie Willis situation. It has monopolized our time. It has monopolized our timeline. Everybody has been dialed in to this whole situation in terms of what's going on. The story just seems to get, more crazy and more convoluted. More people end up coming out wanting to testify. It's a really big deal, especially if you're here in Atlanta. It is like a really big deal. Hey, Kelly Michelle. Hey, Sister Michelle Combs, how are you? And so I wanted to come on because when the Fonnie Willis situation first dropped, obviously I did some content on it, but I was particularly interested in it because of the church component, right? The moment Fonnie inserted herself in to the church is when I was like, see, now I have to weigh in and say something because that's my wheelhouse. Even though this podcast is geared toward talking about the culture, all things social, cultural, political and theological from a biblical perspective. I wanted to weigh on this situation because I felt like as a woman, it was important for me to speak to the female aspect of it, and not just that, but it was because the church kind of got dragged into this whole debacle, and that's why I had something to say about it. Yeah, Patricia said it's definitely cray. Algie says the judge is gonna let her slide. No chance that he will rule against her. Watch, he's gonna act like we never seen or heard anything from his courtroom, scot-free. Unfortunately, I'm hoping that's not the case, but I can completely see why you would say that. Fulton County is a very liberal county. And what saddens me is that the constituents, I live in 2 counties over, but what saddens me is that the constituents in Fulton County, particularly the ones that look like me, a lot of them have been unable to just look at this situation on the basis of its own merit. And instead, they want to bury their heads in the sand. They want to ignore all of the impropriety. And they're just like, none of that matters. All that matters is that she just needs to get Trump. And that saddens me because I'm like, we can't even hold our own selves accountable. That says to me that we are dealing with some serious ethnic idolatry. And that's not what this video is about, to be honest. Actually, this video is about repentance when I'm able to get there. Like Bishop Wooden said, churches need to stop inviting Fonnie to their church like she's some martyr. Absolutely. And so the reason why I have such a vested interest in the outcome of this is because I believe that the Lord has uniquely used it to expose the unbiblical nature, the idolatrous practices that take place in a lot of these churches. And it's indicting Christians. Like, Christians are being pulled to the front of the congregation now because we're unable to discern good and evil. You know, we can't discern righteousness from, as my son says, wrongshousness. And so I'm glad that it happened. And it's not by accident that these churches were pulled into this situation and were involved. That didn't happen by accident. Obviously, if you believe that God is sovereign, if you believe that he is in control of everyone and all things and everything, this uniquely happened for a particular reason. But what I want to talk about is obviously the churches that were involved in this whole situation did not have the proper response. The proper response would have been, if Fonnie is claiming to be a believer, we would have to hold her to the standard, which would be, sister, you need to be
At the
Hey, Adri, I just took that mess off because I can't deal with that woman. But I want y'all to see this is it. This is the same woman who, she committed adultery. She got a whole bunch of shit on it. Lord forgive me. She got a whole bunch of stuff on there. Because you know what? I was raised in a Christian household. Adultery is wrong, and they do believe the church. I grew up Catholic Baptist, so both churches don't agree in divorce. Once you marry, you're married for life, according to the Catholic Church and according to the old school Baptist church. But my thing of it is, yeah, she did. I ain't gonna say she was stupid. I said the woman was under stress. She just wanted a relationship, to have somebody that she didn't have to always stay on her feet. I know how that is, because that can be very tiresome, because they always hold us to a higher standard. We always have to be above and beyond in everything we do. I was always taught, if I'm in school and my classmates get A's, I have to get an A+. That's a lot of stress. Mm-hmm. People don't understand that's a whole bunch of stress. But she can tell somebody that want to tell that they have this ain't nothing nobody told you. He said it. They got the recording of it. He could grab a woman by her pursy, and and he could get away with it. He's a convicted sexual predator. He's
Mhm.
convicted of sexually predator, but you can support him. Now, she's all for Donald Trump. And she talking about that Pastor Wooden. That man, he needs to stop. He need to go sit down. I'm sorry. And I was taught you're not supposed to criticize nobody. You're supposed to move back, let it go, and let God do whatever it is he's going to do to him. But I can't take that woman. And there's so many like them out here. And that first guy, you didn't have to hear it all to know what he was about. You know, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, folks who want to call themselves to be Christians, you be careful not to cast the first stone, because you're going to be the one next on the chopping block. I mean, it's easy to go out there and take these public figures who are supposed to be governing and doing what they're supposed to be doing. But if you're not going to apply that equally across the board, then you need to be quiet, because just like you just said, it was okay. Was it okay for him to grab women by the pussy? Was it? Because apparently you didn't say nothing about that, right? Was it okay for him to call your Christian brothers and sisters who are Hispanic robbers and rapists? Was that okay for him to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, you really gotta check yourself, because when he was talking about Hillary and her cycle and stuff like that, was that a good thing to be doing? I'm just saying, if you're gonna do it, you got to do it straight across the board and be fair about what you're talking about, because you're the one who's saying that her behavior was bad, but wasn't it? I mean, he committed adultery. Was that okay? He was doing something on the side. Was that okay? When he was being with Melania, he got he was out there with Stormy. Was that okay? You got me to
And Marla, he got his daughter Tiffany, but that's Marla Maples' daughter, and he was married to, I don't know, had so many of them, I can't keep track of them. I think he was married to Ivanka when he made Tiffany. That's why Ivanka left him.
Mm-hmm.
And then
so I'm just saying.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And then he was cheating on Melania. That's why you don't see her with him no more. I guess she don't care no more.
Right. I mean, Christians, me personally, I mean, I don't think that, it's supposed to be, according to them, it's supposed to be a separation of church and state unless they feel that somebody has violated some what policy, I don't know. Because at the end of the day, what people do in their bedroom is none of your damn business. At the end of the day, do you want somebody coming and scrutinizing what you're doing in your bedroom? I don't know. It's none of your business.
You sure got that right?
Because when he was out there doing that stuff, apparently that didn't matter. It didn't matter to y'all what he was doing. So what difference does it make what she's doing? So that's how I look at it. I mean, it's just so easy to sit there and try to cast aspersions on somebody else's behavior, but when it comes to that person's behavior, it's all good, and we're going to accept him. We forgive him. We forgive him for all his atrocities, but we're not going to forgive this person here for this. Not even the same. So there's no forgiveness for her. There's none of that. I mean, I just want to know, does she have that same heat for the other person? That's all I want to know, because I don't know how she felt about him when he ran the first time. So I'm just curious. When he was running against Hillary, did she have that same heat? When he ran the second time, did she have that same heat? I just, inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what they want to know, because and this pastor she talking about, he'll tell you in a minute, he got so much to say about Fonnie, but guess what? He's gonna sit up there and he said he supports Donald Trump. Now that got me. This is why I'm religious, but I must say I have to thank my mother. She raised us in the church, but she raised us not to be stupid with it, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you understand what I'm saying. She raised us not to be stupid with it, because, she didn't believe they tell you that, you got something. But I want to play this for you. I want you just to hear. I'm not going to play it all the way through, but I want you to hear some of it. I want your take on it. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm going to do it, but people are always trying to get you to spend your money. You can hear me, Andrew?
I can.
Okay. Oh, Here's this. Yeah. Oh, this jackass.
Bonnie Willis, an award, and some of these other churches. How can you have
You might have
her
seen this.
stand in your pulpit in your church, knowing what she has done and how she has behaved, but yet you have allowed her to be in your pulpit? Like I've said over and over again, that's why I call them church plants. That's how the black church, the traditional black churches, most of them, not all, have sabotaged the black community. Instead of preaching the truth of the gospel, instead of preaching righteousness, holiness, you let a woman, because she's prosecuting a man that you've been told to hate, stand in your pulpit and lie to your congregation.
I don't know why we open our churches up to anybody. Now, you used to have to qualify to stand in the pulpit. And the qualification had to be something other than being an attorney or someone in the news or someone, who may be prosecuting somebody you don't like. But how do you stand up in the pulpit and argue that it's race, argue that it's this and that? One argument was, Lord, you forgot to tell me. I didn't know God forgot. I'm glad he forgets our sins, but God, I guess you forgot to tell me that if I do this, then this will happen, and if I do that, that will happen. And you put a person in the pulpit, and what the person is arguing is they're defending on the witness stand fornication.
Wanting to accept a award of accomplishment and achievement, and so we prayerfully ask that you will pray as we.
But you see this. You see what I'm talking about? The same man before, he's talking against this man because this man took her in and gave her an award, something they were going to give her way before this came out. See what I'm saying? The hypocrisy of it all. It's crazy. And then the same one, listen, he'll sit up there and tell you what Trump ain't never did nothing. What he do? He ain't did nothing. I mean, does it take a rocket scientist to know? Now, did she make a mistake? If you ask me, was she smart when in her love choices? I'll tell you straight up, no. She made a big mistake with that. Because she ought to have known that. Maybe she didn't know. And she could have been so depressed and so, she didn't want to go by her father. She didn't want to drag it in. She don't want to drag her kids in. And she just needed somebody to talk to. I don't know, but it's not for me to judge. That's my point of the whole thing. And that's what they doing. And the black people getting on my nerves with it now. I can't take them but so much. And I love black people. I love to be around them and everything. But this is past. This is really going to the extreme, what they doing.
Yeah, I just think that, like I said,
go ahead and talk.
No, you got the video. Okay, yeah. My thing is like, you can't hold one to a standard that you don't hold the other one to, and you're not, that's not use her behavior or anything. It's just if you're gonna do this, do it right, because you can't be crying about holiness and righteousness when you know that this person that they're trying to uplift has not lived according to what you consider holy and righteous. I mean, as far as business is concerned, he's not a good businessman. As far as relationships are concerned, you can tell. Well, we already know that. I mean, you got to just look at the full picture. And if you come away with saying that he's an upright man, you must be looking through rose-colored glasses. So,
they must be blacked out glasses.
That too.
They give to blind people when their eyes are messed up.
Very recently,
But, Because they lied on the woman. I believe in telling the truth. If she said what half of what they said, she said, I'd be the first one to say, yeah, she was wrong. She did it. She never told them people paid that man in cash. Come on. And then what really gets me, white people are, I expect that from them. Not all of them, but when they do it, it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. But when black people do it, oh, I'm voting for Trump. He ain't never did nothing to me.
Hear me though.
I mean, but
they did not say the weapons will not form.
But he didn't do anything to them. He didn't do anything to, according to them, make it sound like he didn't do anything to anybody else either. It is not. That's what I was saying. They want to put out this blanket forgiveness and say, okay, we can forgive him for his past atrocities and stuff like that. Well, no, you can't, because he didn't do it against you. Okay, he didn't grab you by yours. He didn't do. I mean, he made some disparaging remarks about black folks, but whatever. That's one in the many things that he's said and done throughout the years. So, I mean, if you're gonna forgive him for making those remarks about black people, then how are you gonna be upset with your black people doing what your black people did? I'm just inquiring minds want to know. Can't have it both ways.
Yeah, you sure can. You can't have it both ways, and really, when they tell me, when they say all this, if you truly believe what you're saying, I'm not the one. I can't tell you can't believe what you believe, but you, at one hand, you don't believe her. She's an immoral person. She needs to repent. But what the hell does Donald Trump need to do? I mean, he's done it one time. She's divorced from her husband. He's in the process of getting a divorce from his wife. And according to him, the divorce papers, he caught her cheating with his friends, but his kids were small and he stayed there. And once they got big, he decided he was going to leave. People do it all the time. White people all the time, they stay together for the kids, because you can hear the kids say their home life was miserable. You used to hear it all the time. Dr. Phil and Oprah's talking about how miserable their childhood was, but she divorcing her husband and he divorcing his wife. Oh, you're a married man. No, you're not married. If you're divorced, you're not married. And if you're separated, they give you a legal separation. You get a paper with separation. So what's the big deal? He didn't make a baby on his wife, and she didn't make a baby on her husband. She has 2 kids by her husband, and he has 2 kids by his wife. So what's the big darn deal to me? I don't know.
Yeah. Don't let them frustrate you, because at the end of the day, everybody's got a right to make the choice that they have. I just got questions. That's all. I got questions, and like I said, you need to answer the questions as to why is it okay for him to do a particular thing, and then him come out here, and then he becomes the leader of the world, the known world, as it were, and he still was doing a whole bunch of dirty stuff behind the scenes. How is that okay? And all these folks have gone to prison and jail behind him, as a result of being in his cabinet and being a part of his team. People have gone to prison. Okay, so how are you gonna sit there and look at just this thing and not compare it to all these things that he's had done against him on top of the 90? What was it, 80? What is it, 88 now? Because they took 3 off the table. I mean, is this different? So he still has 91 counts against him?
No, they took 3 off. So he still has 88 something counts. No, he still has something. See, I
thought it was 91.
No, but one of the counts had 3 things in it that he didn't like, because he has altogether told it might be 89, because I ain't that great at math, so it could be 89. Okay. But the way I took it was one charge and it had like 3 parts to it. One charge. I took that off. So it's about
80 upwards.
Yeah.
Any other person would have been in jail already. Any other person would have been in jail already.
But I get that he's white. This is the way they do it. But I can't get the black people. I used to love Ice Cube in his movies, and he was good at Boys in the Hood. I can't stand him. I will never support nothing he does again. I'm sorry. I can't. And Fat Joe, he was a rapper. My son was young, so I used to listen to the music to make sure it was something I wanted him to listen to. And he bought a pair of those God's awful sneakers. But then again, I said if I had the money, I might have bought a pair because nobody will believe how stupid things were with them ugly ass shoes. Then he put in Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton makes the red bottom shoes that you see the people on the red carpet wearing, and at the end of the night, they got them in their hand. I would not pay nobody $900 or $1,000 to hurt my damn feet. My got a pair, and she wears and brings her slides with a gown on. I said, "What the hell?" Her father, my son, gave his daughter a pair because she takes modeling pictures. They're not shoes that you wear every day, and you can't keep them on your feet all night. And he put a red bottom on the sneakers. I was so through when I seen that. I said, "You know what?" I said, I just can't do this. I can't do it. And I can't believe Black people are falling for it.
Yeah, well, that's just par for the course. This is nothing new. I don't get too upset about our people like that because we've been through a lot. Sometimes I think we're just suffering from, like Dr. Joyce DeGruy said, we're still suffering from the post-traumatic slave syndrome, and I still believe there's a lot of that that's still going on because somehow we want to feel like we have made it and we fit into the society and stuff like that. And I'm not upset at our Black people for stuff like that. It is what it is, and I just have questions. That's all. I still have questions. Why?
My grandfather used to be a Pullman porter years ago, and he used to work for the Pullman Railroad Company. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie or read the book called 10,000 Black Men Named George. It was when A. Philip Randolph, he started the union called the Union for Sleeping, Brotherhood of Sleeping Porters Union. And they worked on the train and stuff. And, and my mom was telling me about how when unions were first, came into being for the ordinary worker, how they would come and they would have men to bust it up. And I know when I started working, my father said, never walk through a picket line. He said, it's very dangerous. You never work through a picket line. I remember that. And I remember my mom telling me that when they tried to do the union for the porters to get better wages, that you had Black people would go back and tell them what it was. But a lot of them were former slaves and stuff. So the little money they were making was good, but it was a good book to know. I know a lot of stuff, but maybe that's why I feel the way I do, because I know so much of the history, because my parents saw the history firsthand. My mother, my mother was only 11 when they bombed Black Wall Street. And she was a kid during the have you ever heard of the Red Summer of 1919? It was a lot of riots, a lot of lynching of Black. It was the worst summer for Black people back then. So my grandmother and my aunts and them, they were older. They lived through that. So maybe that's why I feel the way I feel about it, because I know.
And I get that. I'm not saying you're not entitled to how you're feeling. I just like I said.
No,
for us,
I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying maybe that's why I get so upset with them, because I can't believe that they would be for somebody as of all the people you could be for, not even because he's white, but of all the people you could be for, you got plenty of dummies if you just want to follow a dummy, but this one has on his mind he's going to be a dictator. I don't think he's going to win. I do not think he's going to win. But you never know.
People just have to. People have to just, hopefully by that time, they'll sit back and look at stuff and, reevaluate. Because this is,
It's the whole. If he wins, he just took over the Republican Party and just installed his family, told his daughter-in-law, who he never liked. Now all of a sudden he put her up to do something because Ivanka refused to go with. She left it alone. She's got her own issues.
Okay, so that should speak volumes to anybody, right? That alone, I mean, that should speak volumes, and that's why I don't pay. I mean, I do, but I don't pay. I don't, because I got questions. So I got questions. Yeah, because I mean, some of the stuff you just have to keep asking yourself. Would you want him? Would you be okay if he grabbed your wife by her pussy? Would you be okay with that? I mean, he said he did it. I mean, so how's that any different? Like I said, she did what she did behind closed doors. How are you gonna get upset about what happens behind closed doors? There's a whole. I'm sure there's a. He's had improprieties with people. Some of the people, and there's some of the people sleep with some of the people of his people and all that. I'm sure all that stuff was going on. But when it comes to us, they like you said, we always know our line is a wider line that we can't cross. We understand all that. That's why I got questions. That's why I got questions. They're no more conservative than we are. They're no more moral than we are. They're no more holier than we are. They're no more righteous than we are. So if you're going to look at, if you're going to compare, because also if you're going to compare, which you're not supposed to, but if you're going to, you tell me how did this weigh out heavier than what we know about this other one? And we've been through 4 years of an administration with him, and we saw his behavior when he lost the election the last time. We saw all that on display, and you mean to tell me you're going to overlook all that? Oh, he did a lot of stuff wrong. Even just exiting the last administration, he did a lot of stuff wrong. So, but anyhow,
we'll see who is. That's why I like to talk to you, because you think logical. Your thinking reminds me of my mom, because she would say, well, you can't pumpkin, you can't get upset. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But I want, because I told her one time, she said, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. I said, yeah, but he too slow. I want mine now.
But my thing is, I get angry too. Don't get me wrong now. I do get angry sometimes about it. But at the end of the day, people have to live with the choices they make. And when you can excuse somebody else's behavior and you want to put somebody else's on spotlight, then that speaks of your character and your integrity as it concerns how we are supposed to be rightfully and justly looking at people, right? If we're going to do that. So if you're going to go bypass all that to scrutinize this particular behavior of Fonnie, then that to me means to me that you're not judging righteously. So that's why I tell people, be careful what you do and how you do it, because look at yourself in the mirror, and if you can honestly say that what he did was not worse than what she did, then I just think your glasses something wrong with your glasses.
Exactly, something wrong with you.
I got questions.
The questions is, I would love to see. But you know what? I noticed that the people who I talk to about this, most of them, they kind of avoid the issue. Like, if you're gonna vote for the man, vote for him. Do I think it's wrong? Because I told you, one of my coworkers, she called me, and when she was so happy, I'm voting for Trump because he's going to deport all them immigrants back. Yada, yada, yada. And I told her, and I didn't say it as nice as this, and I said, after he get through deporting them, what you think he going to do to your black behind? Because he sure ain't going to keep us here. And if he do, he want to swing him from a tree. So, I said, you got to think. That man is totally insane. He's totally insane. And Biden, I ain't fond of him, to be honest with you. I mean, he's doing good considering what he got to work with, because they don't everything he want to do. Just like with the border, he agreed to do stuff that he didn't want, but he said he would let them get some of the stuff they wanted, and they still did it so they could talk about the border. Now they can't talk about the border, so I guess they'll talk about Fonnie Willis and this mess forever. And when is it going to end? When does it end? That's my question.
Yeah, but the reason why they do all that too is because they have no policies, and they don't have anything out there, so they got to keep. That's why I don't pay attention to all that y'all back there. Because at the end of the day, it's about policy and what is going to be done for the country. To hear a man say, I'm going to be a dictator from day one, that's not policy, you know? So that's what I'm saying. They can
I
talk
see
all that
what
all
you
they want.
mean. Because I
Yeah.
said the same thing. Wait a minute. I said, am I missing something? I said, this man said he's going to be a dictator. And everybody said they voting for him. And then I've seen people who actually went into the Capitol, an older lady. She said, she only got 6 months in the county jail, but still in all, this was a lady, you could tell she had never been in trouble before. She said, I fell for Trump's lies. She said he
And that's what
lied
a lot of them are saying.
lied.
That's what, yeah. So it's like, okay, now after the fact.
Yeah. And I saw an older white man he cried and he told the judge, he said, I'm so sorry. He lied.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You don't, that's why I'm saying, don't get yourself all worked up. Don't get all upset about it, because the truth comes out on how, people realize that they got hoodwinked and bamboozled. And, and more people going to realize they got hoodwinked and bamboozled. As time goes on, I mean, this ain't it. I mean, this is just this. And the delay probably is a good one, because it's going to give them an opportunity to get more information. So I'm let them holler. Let them other folks who want to get out there and put their stuff out there right off. Go let them do that, honey. I'm talking about our people. You want to go out there and put your face out there and make all these claims? Now go right ahead. Because if you're coming from a Christian point of view, especially, I keep coming from that one because that's the ones they want to put out there. If you want to do that, then you just need to make sure that you're ready for the backlash that's going to come your way, because it's coming. It's coming. Because you can't judge people's behavior based on how you feel about it that particular day. Wrong is wrong is wrong is wrong. Wrong was wrong 4 years ago. Wrong is wrong still today. His actions and his behaviors are still wrong today. It hadn't changed. It's just being pushed forward. It keeps rolling forward, and you don't want to critique that behavior, but you want to do this over here. Can't have it both ways. So,
I mean, would I have done what she did the way she did it? No. But then who am I to say that she is wrong? She did it the way she thought, right? And then I look at it too. She probably was something. I see Mr. Donnie is back. Hey, Mr. Donnie, how you doing? So, it's just me and Andrea. We're having a lively discussion about, different things, because I played some stuff. You can go back and look at it about the Black church and the people.
Hop on up, D-Dub. Hop on up.
Huh?
I told D-Dub, hop on up, D-Dub. Hop on up.
Yeah. He they just sit up there. But that part bothers me, because you know what? And I actually knew some ladies, they were my grandmother's friends, but I was young and I didn't understand really what I was saying, who were ex-slaves. They actually were ex-slaves. And one lady, she was a great cook. She couldn't read or write. She had somebody, this Jewish lady was her like manager and took care of all her affairs. And she had a catering business, but this white lady was her accountant. And she didn't have a family, but she lived a good life, whatever. I heard the older people say that the lady was cheating her out of her money, but nobody ever looked into it. But then again, the lady lived a good life. She had clothes, she had shelter, she had a house and everything. She had no children. So the woman helped her. And if she took everything she had, then hey, she didn't have anybody to leave it to. At least the state didn't take it. So it's so much stuff that's going on in there. You can't really say something about it. But what's your take on everything, Donnie? You never come up, but you can write it in the chat. You never come in. I'm trying to do chat replay, but Vic told me, VB told me how to do it, but I can't follow direction. My head is thick. I got all this hair on my head, and it's blocking the wavelength, because I have to be hands-on with things. But we're gonna see how this thing is. So I don't think she's gonna. I think Nathan Wade will leave.
I think that's the best move for her to make, because we don't want, they don't want to prolong this any longer than it has to be. That's the best move.
I honestly think that maybe it was made already, the decision, but he didn't want to do it. He wanted to see if she was going to be disqualified. He didn't want to leave her there and then she get disqualified. I think they already made it. And I think, and then too, they were saying that her father didn't know anything about it. I'm like, this woman is damn near a senior citizen herself. And I didn't know she had to tell her father when she got a new relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I was like,
Exactly.
you know, I know. I mean, she got kids. She got kids ready to have kids. And
Yeah. It's crazy.
and how they thought she could how they thought she was trying to live off him. I have a friend who thinks just like she
Who
thinks.
live off her dad?
Yeah,
They thought she was trying to live off her dad.
She gave Nathan Wade the job so she could benefit off of his money. I have a friend that's just like Fonnie Willis. She has boyfriends and stuff, but she don't depend on them for nothing. Whatever they do, she'll take them out for dinner. Sometimes she'll call them and say, "Let's go out for dinner." It's on me. The same way. She keeps a little money in the house. She don't keep all the money in the bank because when you need your money, they're going to tell you how much every day you can take out the bank. If I need all my money out the bank, if I got $5 in there and I need it all, I want all my damn money. That's how I look at it. But these banks, they use your money to loan to other people. That's why they don't want you to take a lot of money out the bank. Yeah, my girlfriend, we went out and I thought she stayed in there so long. And I thought I saw a cop coming. I said, oh, hell, I got to go in there and get this girl out of trouble. But I did. Because she was upset. Because she said, "Gonna tell me how much money I can take out the bank." And this girl is a girl that saves because she was saving for a house. She never bought the house. She never spent the money. So, you know, I'm like, God, I thought you was gone for good. She said, no. She said, how the hell they going to take? But this is what they do. This is so crazy, though. When you think do you think if he loses again and he after the election, do you think he will go away?
No. The people are not going to let that happen. You know, people who really want him are not going to let that go away.
If he loses, because
if he loses, no, they're not.
You think? What do you think they're going to do?
No, I don't know. I mean, you know, they was upset the first time. You see how upset they were. You know, who knows?
But this time, my opinion, it won't be another January 6th because they're going to look for that. And I believe it's going to be a massacre if they decide, because you see a lot of people here that that say we need a lot of Black people saying revolution. And that's like a kid trying to run away that's like 12 years old, ain't got a damn job, nowhere to stay. It's like we the people that want to have the revolution. You ain't got no nuclear weapons. You ain't got no tanks. All you got is some guns. And you have no money. Wars and revolutions require money. And they're going to gun you down. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, they want reparations. Why aren't you putting together an economic plan for people? You just want money handed to you. Nobody really knows how to handle money. I'm not that great at handling money. I'm always in a bind about something with money. You know? So why don't they put a plan together? Yes, we want reparations there. I would like my reparations to be for better housing, better schooling, and everything in our areas. That's me. But they kill me when they talk about it's going to be a revolution. We're going to be in the street. We're going to fight. No, you're going to be dead. That's what your ass going to be dead. Somebody might get the reparation money, but it sure ain't going to be you if you're dumb enough to go up there against the United States military, because that's what they're going to put on you.
Yeah.
So, you know, we got a lot of problems. We got a lot of problems in this country. But I just thought I wanted to let people know. And that's not even half of it, you know. That's not even half of it, AJ. I didn't mean to stay on here this long, but that's not even half of it, because that's how I was going to do it little by little, you know, because it's so much. I want to see when he's going to announce that he did. And why the hell did he do it so early in the morning? I call myself getting up early in the morning, doing what I got to do so I could sit down and wait for his ruling. I turned on my phone and looked, and I said, What? They said she can stay. It was
He
funny.
probably wanted the rest of the day off. You know, he ready for the weekend. You know.
But you know what? I'm gonna say this, and then I gotta go. The way he did it, it was very strategic, if you ask me. At first, I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was a little prejudiced, but then I said he let them put everything out there. Then remember when they came with telephone calls, something they came with, and he said, "No, you should have presented it all. It's over." He let them put
Mm-hmm.
all the stuff out there, and he took those 3 counts off of Trump. But what people aren't saying is what his MAGA isn't saying. He didn't throw them out. He told them they wouldn't. He didn't feel they would hold up in court
Mm-hmm.
because they weren't put together very good. He told them to go back, redo it, and in 6 months they could take it before the grand jury again. So he
Mm-hmm.
definitely wasn't for Trump. If this thing with Nathan Wade had never came up, he would have ended it. It would never went this far. And
Yep.
Nathan Wade's wife is the one who did it. She's the
Yeah.
one who told her. She got paid. They need to look in her. And Fonnie Willis, they want her to, Jim Jordan wants her to come before Congress. He subpoenaed her. But
Of course he does.
she put a defamation lawsuit against him. And whether people know it or not, Jim Jones was
Jim
I think
Jordan.
Jim Jordan. I called him in Jim Jones. Oh my God. I just realized what I said. Jim Jones, he was a wrestling coach, a
Uh-huh.
college wrestling coach. He's
Mm-hmm.
not even a lawyer. I
Mm-hmm.
said, what? And he always looks nasty, looks like a ilky, nasty, trashy looking white man. Ew. He always reminds me of them trashy white folks. Lord forgive me, but I hate to say that. But when I saw it, I said, is he really? And you notice he never wears his jacket. I don't believe he got a suit jacket, to tell you the truth. I've never seen him with a suit and a tie on. But
I don't be paying
she
attention
got
to
a
him.
defamation lawsuit against him. So a
Yeah.
whole lot of folks, once this thing is over, a whole lot of folks going to be getting sued. It's a mess. It
Mm-hmm.
really is. Well, I got to go.
Okay, dear. All right.
Up my house. I'm looking at stuff I gotta do because in the other 2 days, the last 2-3 days, I was sick.
Yeah.
Every time I get my house just about in order, I get sick. I gotta start it again.
Yeah. And don't let these folks stress you out. Just take a little bit at a time.
No, but I hate people. We as Black people, we've come too far to be so ignorant. But
this is true.
My mother was like that. She didn't let nobody stress her. She said, I'm going to die, but it sure won't be from being stressed. She was my sister said, y'all not killing me. She said, I'm going to die, but I ain't dying before my time.
Yeah, just a little dab every now and then. Yeah. But
But
you have a good rest of your day, dear.
Yeah, maybe I'll do something short. I wish I knew how to I'm learning this. I might do some tests. Like sometimes I just sit and do tests to try things out. Don't be nothing. After I do them, I take them off. I always say and it ain't nothing. But if anybody want to come while I'm testing, that's okay too. But I usually do it because I want to know. I want to see if I could load instead of going looking for different things, just load them on that thing where I share it with, and then we could go from one to the other. But it takes time. Yeah. It takes time.
You're getting better.
Mr.
Okay,
Donnie,
dear.
I can always count on Donnie if I can. Donnie and Andrew, that's what it was, Donnie and Marie, but this is Donnie and Andrea.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to end this.
All right, dear.
Have a good
rest of
the day.
You
Bye-bye.
too. You too. Bye-bye.